This is the current news. I'm Scarlett, and today I'm giving the technological news. My article talks about the microchip shortage the world is facing. Last year, due to the pandemic, chip factories had to shut down early, especially overseas where most processors are made. By the time they reopened, they had a backlog that was worsened by a high demand for computers. We all know that due to the pandemic, people had to work or study from home. So they started buying more tablets, more iPads, more laptops, computers. Um, well, this shortage has affected several companies, but the sector most affected has been the auto industry, where factories are shutting down because there aren't enough chips to finish building vehicles. According to TSMC, the world's largest semiconductor company, the chip shortages could last until 2022. I chose this news because it shows the interdependence that exists between countries. The lack of chips affected a lot of companies. It didn't affect only one company or only one country. This shortage is affecting companies all over the globe, such as Nissan Motor, Sony, and Apple, which had to delay the launch of its latest iPhone. I think this article it's important to Peru because if the shortage of microchips continues to grow, many technological products for international companies may not reach Peru. Thanks for listening, and now let's move on to the business news.
Hi, teacher. I'm gonna talk about the business in that day. Actually, I'm gonna talk about 2 weeks ago. The UEFA created the European Super League Cup. It's a league that is very informal because they invite teams that is only each teams for every country was eligible. So the fans of the teams are very discuss about this situation because it's very informal. So for example, teams Manchester City, Manchester United, Liverpool are out of the project because they think that is very informal way to do a business like this. So and it was very extreme for me too because for example Barcelona, Real Madrid, they are not participating that Super League Cup, and that is very controversial right now.
Good morning everyone, my name is Leonardo Ramos, and I chose this news because it talks about how Nike, which is a multinational company, is losing reputation in the Chinese market because they don't get their product from China. This makes the Chinese consumers have their dignity damaged. We all know about the ideological conflict between China and the West will be a long-standing struggle. The West has various methods to discredit the Chinese government, but it lacks of tactics for dealing with the Chinese public opinion. From the perspective of morality, what fears them the most are the powerful Chinese grassroots voices. China must not only further its opening up, but also stick to the principles to safeguard its interest and dignity. And I think this news is important because I think every company needs to comply with the local rules and customs. The rules and habits that they follow when they are in the West, I'm talking about Nike, need to interact with the principles of the China society. From this, they can make their adaptations. Also, I think it's very important that every country and market has its own interest and self-respect. Thank you.
Good morning, Miss and classmates. Today I will talk about how extreme fires reduce forest ability to store carbon. Research has found that repeated fires are driving long-term changes to tree communities and reducing the population size. The study, published in the journal Nature, Ecology and Evolution, tells us how changes in the tree community can reduce forest's long-term ability to store carbon, but may buffer the effect to future fires. Every year, fire burns 5% of Earth, releasing carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. In the past, the majority of the carbon released was captured by the ecosystem, so it can regenerate. But now, because of the climate changes, this doesn't happen.
Hello, good night. My name is Piero Robles, and today I am going to talk about an environmental news. This is that Japan approved a plan to release wastewater into the ocean. Japan has approved to dump more than 1 million tons of contaminated water from Fukushima nuclear plant that was destroyed by a tsunami on 2011. The water will be treated and diluted so that the radiation level are below those acceptable to drinking water. But this plant is rejected by some inhabitants, the fishing industry, as well as South Korea and China. The final approval comes after years of debate and is expected to take decades to complete. What is being done is that it is stored in large tanks, but the operator of the plant, Tokyo Electric Power Co., is running out of space, and these tanks are expected to be filled in 2022. Around 1.3 million tons of radioactive water is enough to fill some 500 Olympic swimming pools, and currently stored in these tanks. Environmental groups and the country fishing industry have opposed it. They say that consumers will refuse to buy the region products, but a decision has already been made. This news is very important because although Japan argues that this is safe because the water is processed to eliminate almost all radioactive elements, it still affects the environment and pollutes it.